Good morning. I'm Cecilia Dodge. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a member of our board of directors. Welcome to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We are a community of youth, adults, and children of many diverse theologies, held together by covenant, not creed. Together we share the values of courage, reverence, and compassion. May you know deep welcome and belonging in this place. To share a request for today's meditation, please place it in the chat box if you are watching online, or place it in the bowl in the Soul Work Center before the first hymn. Welcome, visitors. We're so glad you're here. If you're visiting with children, we do offer spiritual growth opportunities for our children and youth at the 11 o'clock service. At both services, we offer nursery care. As always, your children are also welcome to stay with you during the service. We welcome the noises, movement, and joy that our little ones bring. Let's take a moment to wave to those who are joining us online. Welcome, Zoomers. Welcome to our church. Together we grow our souls and serve the world in love.
I'm Reverend Jack Gady, your associate minister here, and my pronouns are he, him. Our call to worship words this morning are adapted from Rebecca Edmondson Lang and Maureen Killeran. Come in. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Welcome. You who come in need of healing, you who are confused or have been betrayed, welcome with your problems and your pain. Welcome to your joys and your wonderings. Welcome your need to hope, your longing for assurance. Instead of answers, here may you find safety for your questions. Instead of promises, may you find community for your struggles. May you find people with hands and hearts to join you in engaging the challenges and changes of our day. Welcome. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place.
My name is Jordan Blair Palladino. I use he, him pronouns. My wife Rachel and I welcomed our first child, a son, in August of last year. He came packaged with a ton of questions. How do you change a diaper? How do you feed him? Clean him? Does he sleep? But the experience also prompted larger questions for us that we have continued to grapple with. How do we raise better men in a society that refuses to hold men accountable? A culture that equates wealth and morality? A media landscape that elevates figures like Andrew Tate and their unique algorithmic brand of toxic masculinity? We turned to Reverend Jack with these questions, hoping that he would be able to share wisdom that sets us off on the right path. I'm excited to hear his thoughts today. This morning, we light the chalice to help us remember that the light of progress will always pull us forwards. Please join me in our opening words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service makes us all. This is our joint covenant. Join together in unity, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please rise and body your spirit for the singing of our first hymn, which is number 323 in your gray hymnal, Break Not the Circle.
Good morning. My name is Amy. I'm your Director of Religious Education, and I use she, her pronouns. So this morning I'm sharing a story. Like many of our stories that we share, we kind of like to share them again and again so that become a part of a canon of stories that we share here with one another and that hopefully you all are sharing out in your lives as well. The story that I'm going to share this morning is called The Mishmash Heart by Lynn Unger. And I hope that it's a reminder that part of what we do here, part of our really important work, is to hold space for one another in all that we bring in with one another. Recently, writes Lynn, at an event at a Unitarian Universalist congregation, my understanding is not unlike this one, everyone was encouraged to create a heart. They were given some construction paper and some glue and some markers to design their heart. One of the children of the congregation, named Emily, worked diligently to create the most perfect heart, the most beautiful heart that she could. It even had glitter in the shape of diamonds all around the outside. As she was helping to clean up, she noticed the heart of one woman who was around the same age as her grandmother, sitting at a nearby table. Well, her heart was a mish-mash mess of odd colors, and many of its pieces had been ripped up and torn and glued in any which way. Parts of it were even wrinkled and crinkled, and there was even a little hole in the middle. Clearly, there was something wrong, thought Emily, and so she offered to help the woman fix her heart. But the woman merely looked at Emily and smiled and explained there was nothing wrong with her heart. It merely revealed all of the things that had happened to her in her life. She said there were happy times here. The beautiful colors and designs represented when she first met her spouse, their wedding, the birth of each of their 3 children. There were other wonderful parts, too, which stood for watching her children take their first steps on their own, riding a bike for the first time, and graduating from college. But what about all the rips and wrinkles? Emily asked. Why are they there? These were representing the sad times in her life, she explained. The time when her best friend had the measles, the time when someone lied or did something to hurt her feelings, and the hole that was left when her spouse died. In fact, every time someone comes into my life that I care about, she explains, they take a little piece of my heart with them. Well, this was a little distressing to Emily, thinking of the woman having to give away a part of her heart every time someone came into her life. But what happens if you give it all away, she asked. You'd be left with nothing. No, I won't, the woman explained. Because you see, they give me a piece of their hearts as well. And so Emily looked down at her beautiful, perfect heart with the glitter in the shape of diamonds all around the outside and the designs she worked so hard to make. And then she looked again at the woman's heart with the jagged colors and the rips and the wrinkles. And at that moment, Emily ripped off a piece of her perfect heart and she handed it to the woman. Thank you, said the woman. And she placed it with her mishmash heart and tore off a piece of her own and handed it to Emily. And that's our story this morning. And later after the service, we invite you to make your own mishmash hearts during social hour.
Please join me for a moment of meditation or prayer. Take a moment, settle in, breathe deep the spirit of life and love, the spirit of mystery and wonder. We know the importance of carving out time for ourselves and for our well-being, and we know that this time is as good as any other to stop, to be still, to reflect, and to say out loud that we need help. We can't do this on our own. We are not islands. We are a small part of an intricate web. May we bring awareness to those strands right now, tethers keeping us together, finely tuned strings that can sing a beautiful and harmonious melody. In this moment, in this calm and centered space, we practice the loving kindness meditation practice of concentric circles, focusing on the people in our lives that need support right now, starting with ourselves. We also take a breath and take some time to ask for a blessing for our family, our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, our classmates, or even rivals or enemies. We also take another even deeper breath and ask for a blessing for the people in our lives that annoy and frustrate us, even the people that infuriate us. We ask for a blessing for the whole wide web that is our world community. Now, finding a posture of blessing both externally and internally, maybe placing a hand over your heart and one hand on your belly, join me for this practice of loving kindness. Feel free to say the words with me if you know them, or just let them fall over you. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. Take a breath. And now think about how many people the word you might include. Think first about your community of love and support. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. Take another even deeper breath as we move through another round, blessing a more complex and complicated version of the word you. Think of maybe specific people that frustrate, annoy, and infuriate you. Yes, even him. Yes, even her. No one is outside this loving embrace. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. And one more final breath. We say a blessing for the world, for all of life, from the elephants to the microbes, for our planet itself, for the whole interconnected web of which we are a part. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole. This morning, this community holds in light and in love Tammy Garber, whose health has been worsening as she continues receiving care for metastatic breast cancer. Prayers for her and her whole family. We also have requests here from my Uncle Bill that yesterday passed from dementia. Prayers for healing for our friend Vicky. Holding my dad, Ken, in my heart as he navigates a move to a skilled nursing center. Prayers for the family and friends of Sam Nordquist, and prayers for all trans youth. May they be held in love. And please send helping thoughts and prayers to those living with depression and other mental health issues. And who else might we lift up into the care of this community? Let's speak their names out loud now. Knowing that we are more equipped to hold this together than we can alone. May it be so, and amen. Please remain seated for hymn number 318, We Would Be One.
A few brief community announcements. Please stay after today's service for our social hour. We'll be going to the social hall and grabbing a beverage or a cookie and then engaging in our February practice of conversation circles. This is a radical practice where we talk to people we don't yet know, but it's February and we do bold and brave things in February. We really hope you'll join us and join a randomized conversation circle and get to know someone you might not have otherwise known. Stay tuned to Jack's sermon to learn more. Also, this afternoon, our staff are offering 2 different opportunities. First, join Rack for his music literacy for beginners. That class will be 12:30 to 1:30 right here in the sanctuary. And secondly, Reverend Jack will be leading a Membership 1 class in the Wheatley Room from 12:30 to 2. Snacks and childcare will be provided. Please join us on Wednesday night for our community meal and programming. We have a forum from our Refugee and Immigration Assistance Committee called People Will Get Swept Away: How to Be a Citizen Friend. And our millennial-ish group is also meeting on Wednesday night. Our 60-plus group is meeting on Thursday at 11. See the wrap for more details. Also, a big thank you to all the volunteers and staff who made last night's Sweetheart concert such a success. It was part of our Music on Maple series, which serves as a fundraiser and a funraiser. It was delightful. And lastly, there's a date correction for Reverend Jessica's book club. It is incorrect in the wrap, so ignore that date. The correct date is February 27th at 7 o'clock on Zoom. And the book is Better Living Through Birding: Notes from a Black Man in the Natural World by Christian Cooper. We hope you'll join us. Today, our offertory is the 2nd February Food Focus Special Collection to help reduce food insecurity. Today's collection will go to 3 local food shelves: the Mahtomedi area food shelf, the food pantry at Century College, and Valley Outreach in the St. Croix Valley Stillwater area. By collecting in February, we can donate the funds in March, so food shelves qualify for March's Minnesota Food Sharing Matching Campaign, thereby increasing the amount received. The Mahtomedi Food Shelf is located in St. Jude's Catholic Church and open to surrounding community members, with appointments for food pickup and some appointments for self-shopping. They also provide a weekend backpack program with breakfast and lunch items for students in the Mahtomedi School District. The Century College Food Pantry is available to all the college's students. Valley Outreach, located in Stillwater, has an extensive clothing program, providing free clothing to clients and thrift shopping opportunities. We will watch a short video clip now.
The mission of Valley Outreach is to support people who are in need with basic services and personalized support. They help take care of the basic necessities for people: food, clothing, and shelter. And they do it with so much dignity and respect for the client.
We try to provide the same shopping experience we have in any store.
The clients will say, I came to Valley Outreach, I was nervous, but once I got there, everybody made me feel really welcomed.
It's keeping the experience as normal as possible for people whose lives may not be real normal right now.
We are a volunteer-powered organization. Our volunteers allow us to enhance the impact that we make.
There are a couple of ways you can give today. You can use the text to give feature. The number will be on your screen momentarily. You can give on the website, or you can place cash or a check in the offertory basket. Whichever way you give, please indicate the keyword food. Thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together. The offertory will now gratefully be collected.
Our first reading today is called This Faith by Heidi Cottom. Let us be a faith that gathers, reaching for one another. Through the walls of hate others build, through the cages of ignorance and arrogance, and through the fear that burns city streets. Let us be a faith that sees a vision of a better world, more compassionate, more just, more holy, and with more love. There is a faith that binds up the broken, cauterizes battle wounds with the balm of peace, sings longer and louder than the trumpets of war. Let us be that faith too. Let us be the ones who do not tread lightly in this world, but light it up with our love, who hold up the mirror of worth and dignity, who are the sanctuary others seek. But first, let us be a faith that worships together, here, this morning, in this space, at this moment. Let us be a faith.
Our second reading is called Go Boldly by Jean M. Olson. Go boldly. May you be brave enough, and clear enough, brave enough to expose your aching woundedness and reveal your vulnerability. May you speak your deepest truths, knowing that they will change as you do. May you sing the music within you, composing your own melody, playing your song with all your heart. May you draw, paint, sculpt, and sew, showing the world your vision. May you write letters, poetry, biography, slogans, graffiti, the great novel, laying bare your words to love and hate. May you love, even though your heart breaks again and again. And until the end of your days, may your life be filled with possibilities and courage. have to follow that? Thank you, choir. Thank you, Nance. I always feel a certain amount, probably the appropriate amount, of trepidation when I willingly offer the choosing of a future sermon topic and title up for bidding at our annual auction. I have no idea what the winning bidder will want me to preach about and explore. And fortunately for me, and also fortunately for the winner of the auction bid, they don't have to choose the answer. They propose the question that needs exploring. Needless to say, I was pleasantly surprised when Jordan offered me the simple question that needs exploring right now. How should my wife and I raise a son in this current moment? Just an easy topic, right? Anyone out there have some answers for me? Go ahead, shout some out. Anyone? No? Okay, great. Love. Listen. Show up. Kindness. Say it again. Praise. Courage. Patience. Hugs. Engage. Value of a dollar. Agreed. Yeah, there you go. How do we raise our children right now? What a great question. And since Jordan and Rachel happen to have a boy that they're raising, how do we raise our boys right now, especially? With all the political happenings, with all of our understandings about misogyny and male privilege, and also amidst this necessary, long overdue moment that we are currently experiencing, this moment where we are complicating our understandings of gender and sexuality. This has been a process that goes in phases, which is why feminism has been categorized by waves, right? Second wave feminism was in the 60s. Third wave began in the 90s. Some say that we are now into the fourth or fifth wave, depending on who you ask. So how do we raise our children right now? Much has changed since the 60s, since the 90s, or even since 2010. Since 2010 alone, we have experienced the Me Too movement, the Christine Blasey Ford testimony at the hearing of Brett Kavanaugh, the Women's March of 2017, and that's just to name 3. We've learned so much as individuals, and I want to believe that we've learned culturally or collectively, but sometimes I doubt that as much learning is happening as I assume, or as I want to happen. The amount of politicians accused of sexual assault or harassment or infidelity or paying large amounts of money to adult film stars has gotten so large that it seems like nothing in that category even disqualifies someone from holding public office anymore. I look back on some of the political scandals of the past as almost quaint. Think Gary Hart in the 1980s or Alexander Hamilton in the 1790s. They were both deemed unqualified or unfit for public office when their extramarital affairs were uncovered. Dare I long for days like that again? When it comes to the various social movements that are animating our world right now, feminism, in all of its various waves, is just one of them. We're living in a world that has been changed by the Black Lives Matter movement. We've had our understanding of gender identity and gender expression broadened and expanded as we have listened deeply to the stories of our trans and non-binary siblings. And as a result of all of these movements, there's a counter-cultural movement afoot right now to push against woke culture. And I want to name that plainly as what it is. It's an attempt to go back to sleep. It's an attempt to return to the status quo where many people were made invisible. When the status quo tries to reign supreme again, it's as if the majority class are saying, for example, let's stop being politically correct and just call all the people who run the various boards and companies chairmen. Most of them are men anyway, and I don't think that women should be offended by being called chairmen. Right? But we know that if the shoe is on the other foot, I don't believe that any man would allow himself to be called a chairwoman. Right? And also, what's so hard about just calling them chairs? The chair of the board, for instance, just banged her gavel and she wants you to take a seat. This move against woke culture is also a push against enlightenment. It is a push against a more enlightened way of speaking that utilizes more nuance. This nuanced and enlightened way of thinking involves understanding that not every person is like you, or wants to be like you, or has a life like yours. We are different, and that's a good thing. I might even call it a great thing. Our diversity is often touted as our strength. And when we stop celebrating it, or even when we legislate against celebrating it, we are short-circuiting the prospect of being a more perfect union of people with different religions and languages and perspectives. We are at risk of flattening out our world, which reminds me of one of the best graphic novels that I have ever read. It is called Unflattening by Nick Susanis. Has anyone read this? Oh, so good. It was the first ever comics form doctoral dissertation at Columbia University. In it, Susanis explores the richness of life that gets accentuated when we honor multiple perspectives. He argues his point by talking about a book he once read by a Scottish man named Edwin Abbott, and it's called Flatland. In Flatland, all the people are two-dimensional. The main protagonist is a person named A Square. And one day, A Square encounters a sphere. He has no framework for understanding what a sphere is, because Mr. A Square only exists and sees in two dimensions. It takes him a long time to even understand what this sphere is and how it operates. I mean, imagine if you're a square and you see a sphere on just one plane. It's a dot, right? Or maybe two dots. I don't know how math works. Are you following me? He definitely has no idea how to explain what he's just experienced to his fellow Flatlanders without them thinking that he's lying or somehow unhinged from reality. Susanis uses this story of Flatland to highlight the importance of remaining open to new perspectives, even ones that are hard to understand or accept, even ones that might totally shift your whole understanding of the world. Now, in this metaphor, Mr. A Square attempts to convince a few of his fellow Flatlanders that a circle could be more than a circle. What if the circle weren't just flat, but also had the third dimension of depth? Could it be a sphere? And he might have convinced a few of his Flatlanders about this third dimension, but many still don't believe him. Those Flatlanders that start believing in the third dimension and accepting stories from three-dimensional beings about their lived experience start talking about their learning process as an awakening, right? An enlightenment. They once understood the world one way, flat. There's an analogy here, isn't there, about the flat earth? Anyway, we won't get into that. And now they are awake to a new reality that they didn't know before. The other Flatlanders that don't see or believe in the third dimension start getting upset by these awake or woke believers. When it comes down to it, they're afraid of this third dimension because their grandparents and their parents never knew anything about that. And if they believed it now, wouldn't they be undercutting the very education that their ancestors gave them? And when people are afraid of certain ideas or people, they often make fun of them. Because if people are feeling insecure or insignificant, they can feel bigger and more important by putting down or mocking others, right? Other people or other ideas. But Susanis asks his readers to stay open to the fresh knowledge that comes from new perspectives. So, Jordan and Rachel and Wilder, we're still learning, and that's a good thing. One important lesson for your son and for all of our children and youth is the importance of being a lifelong learner. And we can set that example here, right? By celebrating education throughout our lifespan. And that takes humility and courage. It takes guts to admit that we may have gotten it wrong years ago. Or at the very least, that we know better now, and when you know better, you can do better. You know, just for a moment, I'm going to take a little pivot. I led a class here called Black Film Canon class. And in this class, we actually watched films by Black filmmakers and explored what we could learn there. And I asked a question of the class and said, when was the last time you learned something that brought you joy? And people had a really hard time answering it, because I think for a lot of people, having to learn something new, especially about race and racism, reminded them of the shame of not getting it right earlier, right? I understand that. I understand that connection. And yet, aren't we lifelong learners? Don't we hope to learn more than we knew 80 years ago, 60 years ago, 40 years ago, right? It takes courage to say, I didn't know that before, but I do now, and I'm going to do better. For many of us, this learning happens when we become parents, and we choose to parent differently than our parents did. We retain some of the wisdom and strategies, but we find new ones too. This is not a slam on our older generations, right? It's a manifestation of the reality that we have learned a lot culturally, collectively. We've moved forward, we've progressed in certain ways. Yes, there's regression too, but there's progress. We've lived through many different social movements, and we are now the recipients of the lessons that each of those individual movements has taught us. Well, unless we're too stubborn to learn the lessons, right? And improve our behavior, which some of our people are. Speaking of which, our current president is undoing the majority of the progress that our governmental systems have made in the world of DEI, aka diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is incredibly disheartening and unsurprising. And in February, our worship theme here at this church is the practice of inclusion. What a timely theme to be exploring right now. There are many times when we can't just sit back and expect our government or our political leaders to be leading us boldly and progressively into the future that we are dreaming of and working toward. And in those times, it's incumbent upon us to take up that mantle. When our leaders are de-emphasizing or even outright banning DEI practices, then we are compelled to demand them even more loudly and to practice them ourselves in even bolder ways. Let's talk about inclusion at every turn and pursue it with passion. Let's tell stories about how inclusion has benefited us, how it has benefited our communities, our churches, our schools. Let's tell stories about when we have been included and about when we have done the including. Let's tell stories about how much richer life is when you include multiple perspectives, rather than only including the stories that shore up what we already believe or confirm the way we already think. Let's continue the work of unflattening our world. Let's add more perspectives and more nuance, more dimensions, right, that need attention. There are spheres in our world, right, including our earth. Let's make America complicated again. Yeah. Let's resist the urge of the single story, right? As our poet said earlier, let us be the ones who do not tread lightly in this world, but light it up with our love, who hold up the mirror of worth and dignity, who are the sanctuary others seek. And speaking of inclusion, we are actually pushing ourselves to learn more about the practice of inclusion this month by running conversation circles in the social hall after the services. We're asking you all to step out of your comfort zone for just a minute, 20 minutes to be precise, and challenge the status quo practice of just finding maybe people you already know to talk to, right? I run the membership classes here, and I'm very involved meeting new people who come. I'm one person, though. We're a big church, right? We need more people to help do that work. When I talk to some people, they walk in that social hall and they think, everyone there knows everyone, and I don't know anyone, so I don't belong here. What I know is true is that not everyone knows everyone, but everyone maybe in the room knows one person. And maybe it's the person they're talking to, right? How do we break that apart? How do we break that down? How do we invite more people in, right? Include them. I see some people in this room who are really good at that. I have people in this room who I can tap on the shoulder and go, "Psst, that person's new, go talk to them," right? How do we broaden our welcome? So today, we're going to invite you not just to talk to people you already know, but to go into the social hall and actually meet some new people in randomized groups and see what happens, see what connections might come up, see what way your world might get more dimensional today. At some point, you all were new here, and someone took the time and expended their bravery to welcome you. They probably went out of their way to talk to you instead of someone they already knew, and they dared to invest in you. You, who were an unknown quantity, over people that they already had connections with. And so for some of you, I think, that act of inclusion maybe made all the difference, and you're still here. So we're inviting you to flex your muscles of radical welcome and inclusion. We hope that you'll pay forward that inclusion you've received here, right, at this church, as an act of welcome to those who come after you. I know it can feel tender and vulnerable to put yourself out there and meet a new person, but take to heart the words of our second reading from Jean M. Olson. May you be brave enough to expose your aching woundedness and reveal your vulnerability. May you speak your deepest truths, knowing that they will change as you do. May you sing the music within you, composing your own melody, playing your song with all your heart. And until the end of your days, may your life be filled with possibilities and courage. Blessed be, and amen. Will you rise in body and spirit and join me for our closing hymn, How Could Anyone, number 1053 in the Teal hymnal. May you feel the love and warmth and inclusion that you've already felt here in this place, in your world, in your various circles, and may you share it with another. Will you turn to a neighbor and invite them to join you in the social hall?